At this time, we are pleased to invite Amy Rodriguez, who will do the introduction for our keynote speaker.
Good morning. How's everyone doing? Good? I feel a little bit of energy. That was okay. So I have the pleasure this morning of introducing our keynote speaker. Yesenia Mata is an immigration and veteran activist. As the daughter of a formerly undocumented immigrant, Yesenia has been advocating for immigration reform. She has written on The Hill, Huffington Post, and Univision. She was the former National Latino Outreach Strategist for Bernie Sanders' presidential campaign, where she organized the Latino communities in Chicago, Arizona, New York, Pennsylvania, California, and Florida. So you know almost all the states. She was also the political director for the Dream Action Coalition, a national organization that advocates for immigration reform. She has been recognized by City and State as the top 100 in labor and top 100 Staten Islander, and by New York State Hispanic Coalition as 40 under 40 Rising Star, and received prestigious proclamation from the City of New York for her work in Latinx communities throughout New York. She was appointed by the Mayor de Blasio to serve as commissioner for New York City Racial Justice Commission, appointed by Mayor Eric Adams to serve in Immigration Transition Team, is executive director of the La Colmena currently as Immigration Day Labor Rights Organization, and serves as the U.S. Army as military police specialist. So to say the least, Yesenia Mata is one of a kind, and I have the pleasure of introducing her. She will join us on the stage.
Buenos días a todos. How's everyone doing today? I'm gonna need you to tell me that you are excited to be here. So when I say, are you excited? You all better say yes. Are you excited?
Yes.
Are you excited?
Yes.
Are you excited?
Yes.
Well, my name is Yesenia Mata. I am the Executive Director of La Colmena, an immigrant rights and worker center based on Staten Island. Before I start, I want to give a huge shout out to Commissioner Zach Isco, Deputy Commissioner Christina Farrell, and the entire dedicated New York City Emergency Management Team. Let's give them a round of applause. I am excited to be here at the 2023 Community Preparedness Symposium. It is these important gatherings that have prepared our city to confront the challenges of our ever-changing world. And being here, I feel the resolve of our city and the attitude that we always hope for the best, but we prepare and are ready for the worst. It has been in times of crisis that New York City has shown its resolve and, most importantly, its unity. That is not to say that we weren't afraid. I remember March 2020 very clearly. I had just stepped into my new role as executive director. I thought it was super cool. While there was much to learn from the job, I ensured communication and coordination was a bedrock of my work. I was doing my little to-do list, my scheduling, thinking that everything was going to go as planned. I was like, I got this. But like every executive director knows, that's not true. At that moment, in my first month as executive director, the pandemic struck our city. And I remember sitting in my office in silence. This was a force I was wholly unfamiliar with. Then the city shut down. And at that moment, I saw the scores of Staten Island businesses close. Understandably, I also saw all of the Staten Island community-based organizations put their gates down. And the only thing that I could think about was that the people that would be affected the most, adversely impacted, would be our immigrant, Black, and brown communities. This was not just a health crisis, this was a housing, food, and economic crisis. I decided that I would not close our doors. I couldn't leave my community at such dangerous times, but I was terrified. Each night I kept hearing the sirens sounding off by the Staten Island ferry, reminding our city of a global emergency. This was not just a test. People were dying. I was worried not just about my health, but also the very lives of my family, the lives of my staff who stuck by me. But I went back to my bedrock in my military training as a 31 Bravo military police. Because of the many unknown factors and the real fear in the community and the fear within my ranks, our team ensured that we kept constant communication and coordination. This communication and coordination extended to our staff, our board, our volunteers, our members, and equally important, extended to our city partners. I continued with our mission, which is to empower the immigrant community. And you cannot empower a community if you are not talking to them or coordinating with them to solve a problem. As we talked with the community, we heard immediately about the urgent need for food and the need to communicate current and translated information from the health department, emergency management, NYPD, immigrant affairs, and others. I saw that we were not alone. We coordinated with our neighbors, who also stepped up by donating food, toiletries, masks, gloves, and more. Today we have expanded to our second center on the North Shore in Stapleton, and our food distribution efforts continue to operate. We were able to get through this working together hand in hand with nonprofits, city agencies, and community members. You see, in our community, the nonprofits are the eyes and ears of what is happening on the ground. And this is why we must ensure that we communicate and coordinate with city agencies. We all have a role to play. And what I'm just trying to explain with this is that don't ever underestimate a New Yorker. Don't ever underestimate the power of community. But don't ever underestimate the power of talking to each other. Because this is exactly what Governor Abbott did when he inhumanely started busing asylum seekers to New York City without communicating or coordinating. He thought that our city would collapse under pressure of a global humanitarian crisis. But let me tell you all what happened. That didn't happen. Our values as a welcoming city of immigrants were solid and still. Most importantly, our city communicated and coordinated a robust response that has not been matched by any other city in the nation or the world. As soon as I got the call from the mayor's office of immigrant affairs, my team and I headed to the Port Authority bus to support asylum seekers in the city's efforts. I remember being at 5 a.m. in the morning and seeing the emergency management team there, including Commissioner Isco, who was unloading cases of water. We were not just responding to a crisis, we were responding to a major historical event that our city has seen for generations. And seeing the number of asylum seekers that were arriving at Port Authority by the hundreds. As someone who is currently in the front lines and having that direct contact with people every day, I can tell you this. The work that the emergency management team was doing does not only take a toll on you physically, but also mentally and emotionally. But one thing that I saw is that they were not alone. They also had many others supporting them. There were city agencies, organizations, grassroots groups, and everyday New Yorkers doing their part. Because you cannot do this work alone. It requires a team. And of course, in any team, there's many differences because we all have different views, different ways of organizing, and different stories. But I can tell you that what I saw there were people committed to finding solutions. Now, I know there will be many other emergencies that may come our way, because there will be. However, we must continue to communicate and coordinate when times are calm. Let's use this opportunity here today to learn from each other, to learn who's who, who's doing what, how can you support them? Because we don't need to start from scratch. We don't need to reinvent the wheel next time if an emergency or crisis hits. We can continue being ready and lean on one another for support. I want to end my speech with this. It is not a matter if, but when the next deadly pandemic, destructive storms, or global humanitarian crisis will come. And often the state and federal government responds after the crisis has ended. That is why it is important that we all work together, talk to each other in real time, and care for each other, because we are all New Yorkers. Regardless of immigration status, gender, ethnicity, or religion. Because believe it or not, we are all we got. And truth be told, New Yorkers are ready. So when I say, is New York City ready? You all say ready, but I'm gonna need you all to get a little hyped up, okay? So I'm gonna turn off my mic, and I'm gonna want you to be louder than, can you hear me? Okay. Well, I'm gonna do it without a mic, and if I'm louder than you, that's a problem. So when I say New